this episode, we are going to appreciate very special people. These are the stay-at-home moms. And I was just thinking about the preparation that went into this episode. It wasn't the easiest to get stay-at-home moms. Number one, to come in physically. You can see Beryl is joining us virtually. And secondly, to just get stay-at-home moms to come and have this conversation with us. So I really, really appreciate you, Beryl, for coming on board to talk about, stay-at-home moms. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Beryl, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Beryl. I am a mom of two. I stay and work at home. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Beryl. So let's go straight into it. How did you end up where you ended up? You can make it, you can put in the long story where the long needs to be long, then short story where it needs to be short. Go ahead.
Okay. It had always been a dream of mine to stay at home and raise my own kids because that's the way I was brought up. But life happened and I ended up working a full-time job, and I never thought I would get this dream realized. Then I had my first baby, and the moment I looked at her, I just wanted to stay with her at home. I never wanted to be separated from her. So that is when I began thinking about how I could make this happen.
Wow. Thank you, Beryl. So kindly tell us, was it a hard decision? You were working by the time you were getting your first baby. Were you still working the full-time job?
Yeah, I was still working the job, and much as I would have wanted to quit immediately and raise my baby, I didn't have any support at that time. My husband would have none of that. So it was a really tough decision. And yeah, a lot of preparation went into it, a lot of tears, a lot of everything.
Okay, tell me how long by the time the baby came and by the time you were fully transitioning, how long did it take?
It took a whole 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So by the time you were working when the baby came, by the time you went back home, it was 2.5 years. Okay. And you clearly mentioned that you didn't have support from your husband, because of course you guys were looking at a 2-income household. So the transition meant
I had to find a way to make money while staying at home, and that was really challenging. Initially, I thought of starting a business, but then moving from full-time employment into a business, that was not easy. So I started looking at freelance stuff, online jobs, and it took me quite a while to find something that would work for me. So I eventually bumped into writing. But what made this really challenging is that it was so difficult to make a good living at the onset. So quitting my job for writing did not seem realistic at the onset. But I kept trying to find a realistic way to make it happen. And yeah, it finally did.
Yeah. So tell me, what did your parents think about the transition? Why I'm asking is maybe you'll tell us if in case you were supporting them when you were fully employed and now the transition meant, some minor adjustments here and there. Did they support the move? Did they think you were crazy?
My parents were really supportive, by the way, surprisingly. But my husband still thought I was crazy. So actually, I could not just quit my job. So something that helped me through this step, out of the blues, one day my boss told me he needed me to take an unpaid leave for 1 month.
Oh.
Things weren't going so well at work, sales were down and everything. Yeah, so when he told me that, I knew this was the moment I had been waiting for. I had been trying to do some freelance work part-time, and the moment he said that, I knew now I had to make it work. I had 1 month to make sure it worked.
Yeah.
So I came home and I told my husband I'd been fired. So that's how my life started.
Okay. I hope I hope you came out. This is not the way you're coming out. I hope like that wasn't the truth. That's not the truth he has lived with until date. No?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm asking what I'm asking is most of us think or believe that maybe stay-at-home moms are not well educated, or it seems they were not able to, get jobs. That's why they happen to be stay-at-home moms. Or maybe it's people who do tailoring, or people who work with their hands that maybe are stay-at-home moms. Yeah. So I really wanted you to bring out that angle, and I'm glad it came out. Next question is the challenges from the society, from us women. There's this, it may not necessarily be said or be told to you to your face, but some of us women may feel, I have an 8 to 5 job, so I'm more, I'm either a better human or individual than you, or I'm better placed as a woman than you, or I'm doing all these things, I have an 8 to 5, I'm mothering, like you, everything, but now you just don't have an 8 to 5 job. Is it a myth? Is it all in my head? Or do you feel that, or is it brought out in your conversation?
Yeah, it's actually brought out. Surprisingly, people are so open about that. Some feel you're just complacent, you're lazy, and they will find ways to let you know.
Oh,
But yeah, they actually do. They'll find ways to make sure you get. So, yeah, it's been challenging. It's been challenging trying to explain my perspective to those who matter and ignoring the rest. It's not been easy, but yeah, it happens a lot.
yeah. I don't know. So, what do you think of, how do you answer them? How do you answer the people that ask you, that come to your face and ask you what they ask you? Or how do you handle suggestions of, why can't you do something better or something else?
I try to show them the pluses of my lifestyle. I try to help them get my point of view. Like, it's a job like any other. It pays the bills the way your 8 to 5 pays the bills. And at the same time, I get the chance of raising my own kids. So it's just an alternative lifestyle. That's how I like to put it to those who matter.
Okay. Has this thing for, there's this wave that we're now saying there's no medal, there's no cap to the woman who works the most, or to the woman who goes to bed the most tired. Do you do everything for yourself? Do you delegate some certain roles and duties?
It's really hard for me. I think given my personality, it's been so much easier for me to do everything for myself. And yeah, that also raises issues with a lot of people. I have issues with people in my personal space. So even when I used to work an 8 to 5 job, I had serious problem with my domestic workers.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do everything for myself, and
Wow.
it is not easy, but that's the way I prefer to have it.
So do you have plans of transitioning?
Not in the near future. Um, I'm very happy with the way things are. Actually, I've had some friends of mine pressure me into taking my youngest baby to school so that, yeah, in the soonest possible time I can get back to work. But I don't see anything wrong with working from home, even when both kids are in school. It's something I love to do. It's something that really works for me. So I have no plans of transitioning. No.
Okay. Can you comment something to do with the growth, your own personal growth? When you compare it to, by the time you left, full-time employment, and since you started working from home and staying at home. Can you slightly give us a rough, paint a picture of your own personal growth?
Okay. I used to work a full-time job. It was a lot more challenging mentally. So I was developing much faster than when I'm working from home. But in terms of achieving my goals, financial and otherwise, it's been much better ever since I started being a stay-at-home mom. Because now the power is in my hands. When you're working full-time, you're employed, there's so much control on your employer's side. They determine how much you're going to earn, when you're going to get a promotion, if at all, you see. But now, from my current position, I am able to decide if this is not working, I move on to the next thing. If I find something that works, I build on it and make it better for me. So ever since I started working from home, I've really grown personally. The only thing I miss is being in that competitive environment, interacting with human beings, you know, you get challenged mentally. That is what I don't get. But otherwise, yeah, it's been really good for me in terms of personal growth.
You must be a very disciplined person for you to say the things that you're saying and that are coming across. I like that you have financial goals. I like that you have all these things, because now on the financial bit, I was going to ask you whether your husband pays you, because some of us are demanding for money. I am staying at home and raising your kids. 50% of everything that you make. Ebu, please come and pay me. You think it's easy to stay at home? Please comment on that and then talk about the discipline bit.
Okay, I think that's crazy. I think it's
Crazy.
hilarious. Yeah. Why are you getting paid to do your own job? These are my kids. It's something I wanted. It is something I am doing because I want to. You see. Of course, I appreciate my husband's support in other areas like housing us and all that stuff, but I don't want him to pay me for what I do. In terms of discipline, yes, it takes a lot of discipline to be where I am today. One thing that I've really had to work on is balancing my work and my life and having a physical fitness routine, because this life can kill you literally.
Yeah.
So I have to wake up very early, go for a jog, come back, do my chores, get my firstborn to school, get the other one ready for the day, keep her entertained as I work, you get. So yeah, it takes a lot of discipline to do what I do. And then I get jobs and I have no one monitoring what I do at what time. So I have to work with a very strict schedule to make sure that I achieve everything I need to achieve. So yes, it takes a lot of discipline.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine, because you see, like you're saying, those of us who are employed are used to rules. Same applies, because you're told get in the office by this time, leave by this time. And there's that commute time. We waste so many hours of the day, you know, that commute moving from one place to the next. And then when we are left to ourselves, like those of us who are used to rules and being told wake up at this time, sleep at, you know, when we are left to ourselves, I wonder whether I can manage myself the way you manage. Where? With two kids. Hats off to you, girl. So talk about a little bit about self-care. You said you have no one that you delegate your work to or your roles to, especially your work. You said when work comes in, you're the only one who knows you have to do it. You have to finish how much time, you know, it will take for you to finish. Talk about self-care, how you fill your tank, because all these things are like pouring from you.
Okay, what has really worked for me is just keeping everything in its place. Like right now, I work at most 4 hours a day.
Oh wow.
So I have a relatively rigid schedule where I'll start work at around 9:30, and by lunchtime I am done. So during that time, I'm fully focused on work with a few interruptions from this little bundle of toys. Then after that, I have time for the kids. I have time for myself. Weekends, that's time for me and my family. So keeping everything in its place has really helped me to stay sane, basically. Yeah.
I know you mentioned something to do with you started doing this because that's how you were raised. So your mom stayed at home and raised you as kids. And for how long did
Yeah.
she have you?
She stayed at home until I was like, I'm the last born. So until I was like 8 or 9 years, she was working from home. She was a tailor actually.
Oh,
So she would do stuff from the house. Then I think she would have stayed longer, but then it got a bit challenging.
yeah.
So she had to go out and for work. But by then I was in primary school. I was a big kid.
Okay.
But I really miss those days coming home to find my mom at home. So I really wanted, when I get kids, I really wanted to give them the same feeling I used to have as a kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, if things don't change much, if I can still do this even when they go to school, it's still my preferred way of life.
Okay. I like that. So in terms of your relationships now, did you say you don't have, no, did I hear my own things? You have a social life. You
Yes,
said you miss people. You said you miss people. You did say you don't have a social life. Gosh.
no, I did not say that.
Okay. So talk about your social life. Do you have your chamas? Do you have your girlfriends you do things with?
I actually do, surprisingly, yes. I
Mm-hmm.
have a few people here and there who understand my weird way of life. So
Mm-hmm.
I have people come over, mostly late afternoons and weekends. I always have people over. I don't have much of a social life as an individual, but I think it works for me still.
It does. Do you ever question, like,
Yeah, it does.
do you ever question yourself in terms of
At the onset,
is this how you pictured your life? Is this how,
in the early stages, we had like breaking away from being around people all the time to being alone in the house with a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. It's not easy. But then nowadays I've gotten so used to this that I find it weird being around people. So yeah, I prefer this. It also works for I'm an introvert to a good extent. So it really works.
it does. So just anything that you feel like I haven't asked about staying at home, the challenges and the wins, and what would you advise a mom that's maybe, I've met moms who are at home, but they're almost depressed because they don't feel like that's where they should be, that's what they should be doing, or they're just in a certain mode. They're always looking for something, the next best available thing. So just encourage maybe a young mom, or maybe the people who I feel get into the trap of over explaining themselves. I'm staying at home now because of ABC and this and this and this, especially young women, young mothers.
Of course, if you're not comfortable with it, as soon as you can, take steps to change the situation. But while you're there, make the most of it. Being around your kids is one of the best things you can ever do. The time you spend with your kids when they're preschool, in their preschool years, you can never get that back. So if you're staying at home, even if it's not what you want to do with the rest of your life, make that time count, enjoy that time. In a very short while, it's going to be gone. So there's no point in
Yeah.
yeah.
And the rest of us that are working and are feeling guilty from here to Dubai, let me say a good country. And the rest of us that are guilt tripped.
Don't be so judgmental. Everyone has their own reasons for being a stay-at-home mom. Some may not like it so much. So when you keep making disparaging comments, that does not make it any easier for them. But for those of us who are comfortable, please try and accept us. It's just an alternative way of life. We don't all have to work 8 to 5 jobs. And yeah, we don't all have to delegate. Some of us can be super moms and handle everything ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, you know us. Thank you, Beryl. Anything that you feel like I may have forgotten?
Okay, yeah. There's this other thing about stay-at-home moms who want to stay at home, but their husbands don't like it. Please find a way to prove them wrong. Find a way to show them that you can still add value to their family when you're staying at home. We've come across so many instances where we actually end up rescuing the same husbands who thought we would amount to nothing when we stay at home. So it's all about your determination. If you really want to stay at home and make it work hard and achieve what you want to achieve. Have goals and yeah, don't give up until you achieve them.
Yeah. Okay. I like that because I've seen comments. Maybe it was in women's forum and they were telling each other, don't you dare stay at home. Like it's one woman to another. Don't you dare go back home. Don't you dare stay at home. Sorry. Or don't you dare depend on the man for everything because the way you'll be despised, that's when your treatment in the house changes and all that. I think we've really put a lot of emphasis on money, and your value is based on what you're bringing in terms of monetary value. Like we only see the money, like how much are you bringing, what are your contributions, what are you doing, as much as it's hard economic times and all, but maybe it's a lesson for us, or it's a learning curve, because like what you've said about that time with the children, the foundational years, they never come back. We parent, we move, time is moving very fast, children are growing very fast, and you're doing a very good job, like raising, your young ones, the next generation of very different kids in society, right?
Yeah, we should really try and be a bit more positive, especially women. Yeah, we should try and be a bit more encouraging. Yeah, it's really hard when you have just one person bringing in money, supporting the family, but it's not all about the money. You lose these years, you'll never get them back. And then no one says that you have to stay at home and bring nothing.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing I was going to say.
Yeah, you can always find a way to make something, but you have to be open-minded, you have to be disciplined, hardworking, but don't tear each other down just because someone is doing things differently from you. Yeah, it's not necessary.
Yeah. Wow, I like that. So do you have a parting shot? I hope we didn't eat into your cooking time.
So, okay, for all the women out there who want to stay at home and raise their kids, there is nothing wrong with that. Your dreams are valid. You can make it happen. For those who can never stand the idea of being a stay-at-home mom, it is also fine. We can't all be the same. So make it work for you if it's it's workable. If it's not, appreciate those who do. And yeah, we'll all get there someday.
I know, right? Thank you so much for coming, Beryl, and thank you for having that courage and boldness to come out and have this conversation on Be Different podcast. The rest of you, if you've had something that has helped you, like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. We are growing. And yeah, let us hear your perspective. Thank you and have a good one.